Good morning and happy Friday. Welcome to our ICAT Playdate. I'm so glad you're here this morning. My name is Phyllis Newbill. I'm Associate Director of Youth and Community Education in one of several centers within ICAT. A couple of housekeeping things before we get started this morning. As always, we are live streaming the Playdate onto the internet, and as always, it will exist on the internet afterwards, so we feel like you should know that. There are pastries and coffee to enjoy. Please do enjoy those. One of the ways that we're able to allow for pastries and coffee is that we have this sign-up sheet that goes around. So I'm going to pass this clipboard around, so please sign in. Welcome, come on in. Glad you're all here. Y'all might need to scooch a little bit because we have more friends. I'm so glad you're here. So please sign in on the clipboard. If you are a Virginia Tech faculty member and Professional Development Network, or PDN credit, is helpful to you, make sure that you sign up for that credit, and also then just come say hi to me or check that you got checked off before we all leave here. When you have questions this morning, wait for me to get to you with the microphone so our friends online can hear you. Good morning, friends online. We're glad you're here too. If you're online and have questions, please use our questions link where you are accessing the live stream, and we'll get those and get them asked as quick as we can. So wait for me to get to you with the microphone so that our friends online can hear you. And then there's a few announcements this morning. Let's see. Dark matter is still performing in the cube. Yes? That is still in the future? Yes. Okay, thank you. Dark matter is performing in the cube. And perform. You're right. Thank you. There's a beat battle in the cube on April 21st. And also Vimbuza, which is a collaboration in Malawi, will be in the cube on April 28th and 29th, and also on ICAT Day. So finally, ICAT Day will be May the 4th in the Center for the Arts. We'll be sharing lots of projects. And anyway, there's lots to see there. I hope you'll be there. It's from 3 to 5. There's some snacks. We'll be opening the galleries. Glad you'll show up for that as well. We have quite a crowd. I'm so glad you're all here. I'll add another sign-up sheet to the clipboard. There are 2 sides to the sign-up sheet, so you can use the back side as well. With that, I'm going to hand it over to our team today, and Doug Bowman's going to get us started.
All right, thanks, Phyllis. Good to see everybody here. Is this like the biggest crowd you've had at a Playdate yet? Right, just came to see us. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. That's not because of any other event that's happening today, as far as I know. So I'm Doug Bowman in computer science, also the Center for Human-Computer Interaction, so the whole team comes from that center. Okay, we're going to talk about our CalmAR project, which was an ICAT seed grant. The rest of the team is here, so Megan D. from School of Visual Arts, Todd Ogle down on the end from the libraries. Franciele Rodriguez couldn't be here this morning. She's a postdoc in computer science. And then we have Leo Robbins and Mason Cesniak as our student who've done all the real work on this project, right? So I'm just going to introduce really briefly. This project is based on the premise that augmented reality glasses are the next computing paradigm. So right now we have these kind of bulky XR headsets like the Apple Vision Pro. We also have much more lightweight AI-powered smart glasses like the Meta Ray-Bans that Mason is wearing, but that don't have a very good display or no at all. In the future, these things are going to merge, is what the direction that technology is going. And so those are going to be all-day wearable augmented reality glasses. And this is going to be the next computing paradigm, we think, and a lot of other people think, because it provides glanceable access to information anywhere, anytime. You can use the augmented reality features to provide virtual displays anywhere of any size, and those displays can be situated in the real world, right? So you could have navigation paths that are painted on the sidewalk, you can have virtual posters hanging on the walls, etc. And importantly, you can combine this with AI so that these glasses can intelligently adapt to the context, and we'll give some examples of that. So if you have these glasses, you can do a lot of cool things, but it could also be really awkward, dangerous, obtrusive, etc. So maybe you've seen this video before. Hybrid reality many years ago, and he's envisioning what it might be like to have these all-day augmented reality glasses, kind of a dystopian.
Fantastic. Great. Nice. Great.
Más tarde, apúrate si quieres una buena calificación.
Voy lo más rápido que puedo.
¿Has pensado en correr? Es saludable y eficiente.
Seguro que no hay más trabajos disponibles. Yo estudié para ser profesora y estoy haciendo mercados.
Y además puedes quedarte con los puntos de fidelización. Eres una monje afortunada. Tienes que confiar en la aplicación. ¿Te sientes inspirada? Gracias. Chao.
Adiós.
All right, so is this a future that anyone wants? Right? So maybe there's some useful information here, but it's also overwhelming, distracting, dangerous, maybe addictive, right? Just lots of damage. There we go. So that's where our project comes in. The CalmAR project is based on these original technologies by Mark Weiser, Calm technology. And Calm technology is about where the technology and the displays kind of stay in the periphery, right? They're not kind of front and center. And information overload is reduced. It feels familiar. You're aware of your surroundings, all of those things. And so we extend that to augmented reality with principles like we should have an unobtrusive AR display that should adapt to the context, and it should balance user agency and effort and prioritize calmness in the environment. So our objectives in the project were really to try to iteratively design and develop some prototypes, some mock-ups of what CalmAR might look like, spark a conversation about what this future should be like as opposed to what it was depicted in the video there, and to inspire and enable designers and companies to produce these future AR systems that are going to be good for us, right, that don't overwhelm us. So I'm going to pass it off to Megan to talk about the first stage of our project.
Thanks. So in fall, students from my advanced visual communication design class took CalmAR on as a client. And so the things I really loved about this project was it was a real-world project that students got to use their user-centered design methodologies for, but they're also kind of using that near futures, speculative futures ideation. A lot of these technologies don't yet quite exist, or at least not in the way that we're imagining them to be. And so Leo's going to say a couple more things here as well.
Yes, for the project. Hello? Okay, for the project, we decided to break into a couple of different teams, all to explore different visual styles and identities. From there, we did research by conducting interviews, looking up articles online, and really looking into the CalmAR principle, where we then decided to make our visual identity systems and created mock-ups and tried to bring our ideas to life from there.
Yeah, once more. So from there, the students all developed personas to help understand the different types of users that we were trying to reach with this project. And then they each chose one or two to dive a bit deeper using journey mapping. So really considering what that experience was like for them from sort of that early usage, you first got AR glasses, what's that like, versus some sort of daily integration versus some of that long-term engagement once you're used to the technologies. And then from there, they were developing storyboarding and different scenarios. So, you know, this project's sort of impossible in that there's endless scenarios and endless types of users, but you might be thinking about the equivalent of FaceTiming with a family member or what it's like to find the bus that you need to be getting on and so forth. So then one of the other parts of this project that I really loved is it's getting students off of just designing for rectangles, you know, meaning your phones and your computers and so forth, and getting to think about the possibilities of these things anywhere in the world. So we did sort of a combination of digital and paper prototyping, and you can see Doug and Todd and I and Ellie were sort of their guinea pigs to be testing how these things worked in different environments. And the final things that the class did was develop visual identity, so coming up with the type and the color system, but also component sets, the kind of thing that you might in the working world be handing off to a developer so they could extend the system as well. And then the last thing that they were asked to do in the class was to also be doing the mock-ups and videos, but this is when we really transitioned to the Aries Lab, and I'll let Leo take it from here because he was in both experiences.
So from the original studies in the visual communications class, the final part of our project was to create mock-ups of the systems that we actually created, as you can see, where we tried to bring pictures of it actually coming to life and how it might look like with you interacting with these things wearing glasses on a daily basis. So this is one of the mock-ups we made, if you go to the next one. And then we also came in with the strong idea of really liking object mapping, of mapping certain kind of windows and tasks to different things in the real world. So as you can see here on the screen, you have a study to-do list task of a basic mock-up of it, where if you look at a computer, your task list will automatically come up and be presentable for you to look at. And we carried that ideal through into our videos that we will be talking about in a second. After the project ended, I decided I wanted to continue pursuing it and joined Aries Lab. And from there, I began working on it in a more video sense of it, where I worked with Mason to work on some videos to actually bring this to life.
If we want to switch over to the video. So we ended up going with 360 video as our prototyping form of choice. The 360 video provides a lot of benefits. The primary benefit being that we can explore multiple scenes in a bunch of different locations very quickly. Instead of using a traditional game engine like Unity or Unreal, we'll be able to painstakingly build each aspect. This allows us to quickly grab the 360 camera that you can see right there, go to any environment, set it up on a tripod, and quickly capture what it would be like to be inside of it. From there, we can explore different parts of the scene and how we might want to augment that in the CalmAR way, exploring all of the CalmAR principles that we previously discussed. So you can see here, this is one of the scenes that we mocked up where you're in the library and the goal is you want to focus in, you don't want to be distracted. So we add things like lock, so that icon down the bottom left indicates that you won't be able to access things that aren't the work that you're trying to work on. You get the additional monitors up top. There's noise cancellation, so it plays noise cancellation.
Hey Mason, how's the physical lab going?
It's going pretty well. I'm actually almost done.
Awesome. I'm like halfway done myself, hoping to finish it up within the next little bit, but I'll leave you to it. I'll let you keep working.
To know the situation that you're in. In this case, someone came up to talk to me, and in that case, the glasses automatically turned off the blur and reduced the noise cancellation. That way you can continue the conversation without the user themselves needing to interact. One of the big downsides to using the 360 medium, though, is the lack of user agency. It's hard to get some of the interactions to come across in these demos, mainly due to the fact that it's all predetermined. Another issue we run into is it's very good for quick iterative prototyping, but it's not great for refining very specific details as the camera position is always fixed to the point you filmed it from. Sure. Yeah, I guess we can talk about a few more of the videos that we're currently working on now. So this right here is a bedroom scene. As soon as you wake up, you reach over, grab your glasses. So blurry vision, they need to get their RX fixed. But now they can see. So this is the little red dot there is one of the ideas we're playing with. It's supposed to symbolize eye tracking. So as you kind of dwell on an object, the small widget will expand into more information that might be helpful. So simple things like a clock on the table or the weather app on the wall, that all can be expanded into more information as needed, but then reduced away, that way it's not constantly in your face like we saw in that first video. And then we might want to turn the noise down for this one, unless everyone wants to hear slurping noises when I eat the soup. So this third scene here is a kitchen scene, and this basically runs through how you go about your morning, packing up your bag, and just basically preparing. So it starts off, there might be a way for you to zoom out on your trackpad.
Adding milk to shopping list.
There you go. That might make it a little easier to see some things.
Yes.
So in the case of this scene,
Today is the class field trip. All students must have their consent form.
so as you
Would
can
you
see
like me
here,
to add
there's a
field trip
shopping
form
list
to the
that was,
backpack
or
list?
a packing list that was
Yes.
created. And this is an active packing list, so it's monitoring when you put things into the bag, it's recognizing that you have put your lunch in the bag, and therefore it will eliminate that from your list. And then as things come in that you might find relevant, that travel form right there came from an email. So the glasses are interconnected with all your other devices, recognize that, hey, we got an email, I'm gonna automatically add that to that list for you, that way you don't have to worry about it, taking more stress off of the person. And then this right here is just a scene of how, instead of just a calm principle that is added to reduce struggle in your life, this is an addition. So as you're eating your soup, it recognizes, hey, you might want to do something. How about we read the news? And so it recommends that to you. It might be part of your daily routine, and that's why it recommends it. And then it can quickly pull it up without you having to pull anything out on your phone. You're already wearing the glasses. And then throughout
Reminder,
the scene,
bus
there's
departing in
reminders of when
15
the bus
minutes.
is coming. Just basically, let's hurry it up, let's do this, but still keeping it in a way where it's not completely intrusive. So no like ticking timer in the corner of your eye that's like, all right, your bus is coming in
Bus
5,
departing in
4.
5
We don't
minutes.
want that. That's what we're trying to avoid.
Reminder, bus departing in 3 minutes.
Okay, so that's where we are right now in the project. We're finalizing these 360 video mock-ups, and we think that they're really a kind of a tangible, concrete way to demonstrate these CalmAR principles that we've worked on as a group. Our next steps are really kind of dissemination and having conversation around these mock-ups and around the principles. And one of the ways that we hope to do that is at ICAT Day coming up in a few weeks. We'll also be talking with some of our industry contacts and our networks to kind of disseminate these videos, get feedback, and again, just try to continually iterate on those principles and how they might be activated in real life situations. So with that, I think we'll stop and we're ready for questions. Thanks.
What questions do we have? I'll come to you. And I'll hold on to the microphone.
Hello, my name's Aurora Ortega. I have a question. Given the assumption of AI usage for image recognition, assumedly this information would be sent to a server farm to run because obviously it's glasses, it's lightweight. How would this, like users' privacy or training this data for advertisers, how would that be handled? I feel as if having a camera on your head at all times recording everything could impede how you live.
Yeah, great question, and others can talk to this as well. So I guess the first thing I'll say is that in this project, we're really just focusing on the first-person user experience. What would it be like to use such glasses in the future, and how can we make that a calm and pleasant experience? But there's all these other considerations, privacy being a huge one. And so in some other parts of we have a larger kind of intelligent XR project that involves many other faculty and students, and we've got folks who are really thinking about the privacy of the user. So how do we take that data that's being collected and make sure that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands, make sure that it is anonymized, maybe try to process as much of it on the device as possible, right, or only send aggregate information. So there's lots of possible approaches there for maintaining privacy, but then there's also the privacy of the people around you when you're using the glasses, right? So bystander privacy. And so Brendan David John, one of my colleagues in CS, has a really interesting project on that. how we can detect on the device when there are other people in the room who are not part of your current interaction or who haven't consented or whatever, and making sure, for example, that their facial images are obscured before they're sent up to any server for processing. So it's a huge topic and definitely something that we're working on more broadly.
Well, I'd say in class we talked about Black Mirror quite a bit, but I do think that's a wonderful part of the design process, right? Like everything that could possibly go wrong. And I gave the cheap answer of, that's not the particular problem that we're focusing on for the duration of the class, but I do think if you look at the AIGA design futures, there's one that they've identified as accountability for outcomes. And so I think thinking about the larger picture of what these systems are doing. But I was also really happy to see this project at play because it's more like what I hope AR glasses will be like. And it's nice to be able to contribute to that future rather than the alternative of non-consensual video and all the horrible things that we've probably seen already out there.
What else?
While Phyllis is walking to the next question, I realized there's one thing I forgot to say, which is we did bring demos of these 360 videos with us on a VR headset. And so if anybody wants to try these afterwards, just find Mason. He might be over here in this area somewhere, and he'd be happy to show you.
Hi. I was curious, would this be accessible for individuals with disabilities? So like maybe integrating like vibrations or adjusting colors for people of color blindness or something like that.
Right, well, you guys are bringing up all the huge topics. Yeah, definitely also something that we're thinking about in our broader kind of work on this topic of intelligent XR. In general, the field of XR has been really bad at considering accessibility, especially for people with visual impairments, right? It's because it's such a visual medium. So I don't have any answers for you necessarily, but certainly, you know, we have the ability to do multimodal input, we have multimodal output streams of all sorts, and we need to think a lot more about how to balance those or how to really adapt the system to the user, which is kind of one of the premises of the whole project. So AI might be involved here as well. If it knows something about you and your abilities, then it can adapt the way that it displays, adapt to the way that you provide input, adapt the interface to your abilities without you having to fiddle with a whole bunch of controls and settings and that sort of thing. So that's a very generic answer, but yeah, also something that we're thinking.
So one thing that we didn't really have time to show today is that a lot of the groups, so we broke into groups in the class, had addressed these things. I know Valentino's group had focused on color blindness and accessibility in that sort of way, and another group, I know Morgan was on that group, was really focusing on PTSD and sort of trauma. And so we had started by talking about different things like what does calm mean to you, and a lot of interpretations were sort of a lack of anxiety. And so if loud noises trigger PTSD, what might the system be doing to help calm you down and get you out of that environment? So one prompt that I would give to my students too is sometimes you're given a project and you might be like, okay, whatever, but if there's things that you're interested in, find ways of infusing those bits. And I think accessibility in all its many forms is a really great one to find those infusion points.
So one of the things we're dealing with a lot while iterating through these videos is what is the best optimal window? What is the best arrangement? And the reason we have so much trouble with that is because everyone has a completely individual preference. And so one of the things that we could look into is how it takes the preferences you've already set up with your technology that you use today and establishes that into the pair of glasses. So how you arrange your phone icons, things of that nature, and basically takes in all the information that you already have preset instead of you having to go through settings and settings in order to adjust it to how you want it.
Hi, maybe too early to think about this, but I was wondering if there's a policy or a principle about keeping the glasses ads free, and thinking about cost, final cost for the user, because one of the main differences between the glasses in the hyper-reality video and yours is the presence of ads. And I can see someone, if they think they need the glasses, maybe not being able to afford something nice and then get something that is full of stuff. So yeah, thank you.
Yes, that sounds cool. Let's do it. I do feel like that's, I've been thinking about that more about AI systems in general, right? Like if there's going to be paywalls to be using these systems, but these systems are so integrated in the future of work, you know, including sort of the devices that might be, these are not smart glasses, I'm not recording you all as we speak, although they are. But I do think that, again, kind of speaks to the larger big sticky problems or the wicked problems of things, so good question.
Like Dr. Bowman had mentioned, we're going to be reaching out to industry and like distributing the videos across industry so that they can take the design principles and integrate them. One of the solutions that a lot of industry tech companies are utilizing right now, like Meta, is they're partnering with already pre-established glasses company like Ray-Ban in order to fit the technology into a form factor that's more appealing on the eyes. From a cost perspective, I feel like it's going to trend the same way all technologies do, where as new innovation comes out, compute gets faster and smaller, we're able to slowly shrink it down and make it more affordable.
I also think, like, you think about technologies like one laptop for all, that was a model many years ago, and you know, even a decade ago, thinking about having laptops for kids in every public school in the country seemed unheard of, but now it's just sort of the norm. So I do think technology tends to lag a little bit. There's also, like in my packaging class, we're talking about kind of what different models there might be, like the Tom's shoe model, buy one, give one, or that can be kind of two different targets for things too, like the one that funds everything and then your design for good.
We have time for maybe one more question. There it is. I'm coming. Thank you.
It's a lot of places to look. Okay, thank you guys. That was really interesting. I'm going to be the cranky old person in the room and say that kind of stressed me out. Like when I understand the I really sort of and I think this gets back to what you were saying, Mason, about everybody sort of has a different idea of what's going to work for them. But I thought like being able to focus in the library was really, that looked really good. Waking up in the morning and being like, do I want to read the news or do I want to look at Instagram? Like that's actually what I'm trying to get away from in my morning routines. I would rather go outside and walk the dog and I've stopped listening to podcasts or news. Like I want to sort of disconnect as part of that calm. And I guess maybe there's more of a comment than a question, but just sort of like, to me, there's a little bit of like technological tension between, are you sort of giving us more reasons to stay technologically connected when a lot of us are actually trying to disconnect very intentionally in our lives to just sort of like establish that calm?
Yeah, great question, and I'm sure that people have lots of thoughts about it. I think in our prototyping, right, if we showed a situation where you weren't using the glasses at all, there wouldn't be much to prototype, right? It would just be a 360 video of real life. We're probably overemphasizing the augmentations and the information and the virtual apps and the suggestions and so on, because that's really what AR will add. We're trying to do it in a thoughtful way, in a calm way. But I agree with you. In fact, in our list of principles for CalmAR, one of the ones that I didn't put on the slide was, by default, the display shouldn't have anything on it. Way back in the day, when the first Magic Leap AR headset came out, one of the things that I loved about it was that on the device there was a button labeled reality. And it was really just a power button, right? So you press it and the display turns off and you just see reality. But that's, I think, should be the default, right? And so the system should only proactively put something on the display if it really needs to, or if it knows that that's your preference, right? So that's the other point, is that this is AI powered and therefore personalizable, right? So it's going to know after some learning, right, that you want to walk the dogs in the morning without any distractions, right? And so even if you have the glasses on, it shouldn't display anything because of that personalization.
I will also say, in terms of the waking up scene, that scene, the windows have already been reworked on that one. That was a problem we noted when we met up as a group, that we wanted particularly less information. So we've already specifically limited that window because we felt there's a general consensus that too much information had been put on there for the morning. So we've already gone ahead and tried to reduce that information, and unfortunately didn't make it into the video in time. But that is things that we're trying to think of when we look at it as a group, of we're making sure to put minimal information, but of course still showcasing the features like Doug was talking about.
Yeah, and I think utilizing glanceable technologies, like I see you're wearing a smartwatch, and so, you know, I've thrown my smartwatch across the room if I'm stuck in a group chat and they won't stop texting, but generally speaking, it's sort of I choose when I want to engage with it, and so we've thought a lot about that. But also in the class, you know, I saw people thinking about things of like you could maximize fitness or maximize productivity. And actually, there's sort of the commercial sense in most of what's out there right now, especially if it's going to be free. They're probably trying to sell you something. Sorry, I'm biased, but so if the goal is more removing things and focusing on calm rather than just being the fittest, most productive person you can be, then.
Thank you so much. We are at time. So I want to thank all of you for being here today. Has the clipboard made it all the way around? Anybody? I have no idea where it is now. It did get back there. Okay, good. If you haven't signed in on the clipboard, just get on that. That would be great. Thank you so much for being here. We do this every week. So every Friday morning at 8:30, we gather, and there's always coffee and pastries. And then we have some mind-blowing presentation, just like today. Thank you. And so we'll see you back here next week with something else exciting. And I hope you have a great rest of your day and weekend. Thanks so much for being here.